Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu en route to Washington for a meeting with President Trump tomorrow, marking their first face-to-face talks since the start of the Iran conflict. Let's bring in Hoover Institution Senior Fellow Victor Davis Hanson. It is a pleasure to have you on the show tonight. Sir, I want to just start with the state of play in Iran, the fact that it looks like we're giving talks another chance. Do you think that's the right path? What would you like to see right now?
Well, I would like to have the administration set a goal of what damage they could inflict so that they would not be able, say, in 5 years to harm the Gulf states or Israel or our European allies, and then outsource a containment policy. We could have a residual fleet and tell the Europeans and our Asian partners that we want to help them keep the Strait open. We could tell the Gulf nations they have 600 combat aircraft. Israel has 300 combat aircraft. To say that our bases in the area will help all of you unite to contain them as we keep the sanctions on and we cancel their banking accounts. And then we should, I think, set up a government in exile of all the parties opposed to the theocracy, maybe base it in Europe or even a friendly Middle East country and deal with them. I don't think you can trust any of these people. They play this ridiculous good cop, bad cop. We, quote unquote, moderates, we can't control the bad cops. But you get the impression that the bad cops call the good cops up and say, keep haggling, keep haggling, keep haggling, draw it out, draw it out, draw it out, and we'll send a missile, then you can condemn us. That they're in on it together. So I would like to see a government in exile and then take the confiscated billions of dollars from their frozen account and do two things with it. Tell the Iranians that every time they hit a tanker, we're going to reimburse that tanker and insure it with your money. And then we should also take those funds and give it to a transitional government and say, we're only going to talk to you. Use this to raise funds to help subvert this terrible government. We should also remember, finally, that that's how Khomeini took power. We should flip his paradigm. He was exiled into Iraq for 13 years and set up kind of a theocratic puppet government, and then he went to France for 4 months, and he had an alternate government to the Shah, and then he came in and hijacked the revolution against the Shah. So we could use that paradigm, and I think we should not talk to these people anymore. They're untrustworthy.
Amen. Turning to this, Victor, NBA champion Kyle Kuzma putting Mondani on blast over his sad attempt to arrest Benjamin Netanyahu. Kuzma is saying, quote, we're raising a generation that learning the reward isn't in doing the thing, it is in looking like you did the thing. The clip is the career. The pose is the product. The soundbite is the substitute for a life's work. Nobody could say it better, except maybe you, sir.
Well, he's absolutely right, because we know that Mondami's prescription, whether it's rent control or confiscation of property or driving out financial leaders in the community, is going to destroy the tax base. And he knows that everything he's promised, from free food markets to free buses, he doesn't have the money to enact it. So in lieu of that, he has to have some public image that he's going to be a hardcore socialist communist. But then even that is paradoxical, because he starts talking about arresting Netanyahu, but then his own staff was planning to meet with the delegation, official delegation, of a government that just slaughtered 40,000 of their own people, which is genocide if I've ever heard about it, according to his definition. And he didn't, why doesn't he say we're going to protest if any Iranian officials come to New York? Because he doesn't really believe in the issue of genocide. He believes in hating Israel and hating Jews, and we all know it. And that's all he has. His agenda doesn't work. He knows it doesn't work. And then he's also, I mean, he lies all the time. He says he's going to go after the richer but whiter neighborhoods. Well, the ethnic group that has the highest per capita familia income in the United States are Indian Americans. If he was honest, he said, I'm going to go after my own community. They're richer than anybody else. Then he says to Israel, They're a settler colonial enterprise, but that's what the Indian community, the British Empire, implanted them in Uganda to further their imperial aims against the native population. And they're 1% today, and they control 65% of the GDP of Uganda, and his family owns an estate on Lake Victoria, and we're supposed to believe he's a genuine socialist communist. He's like Hassan Piker, very wealthy immigrant family, drives a Porsche, $3 million Hollywood home. Same thing with Ro Khanna. He's gone socialist now. His father-in-law's worth $200 million. His wife drives a Range Rover. So these are boutique socialist communists, and we're the lab rats that they experiment on, and then when it fails, they're protected from the consequences of their own ideology.
Before we let you go, sir, we want to get to this. The UK's new Defense Secretary, Wes Streeting, saying President Trump will be remembered for waking Europe up on defense spending in reliance on the US. Listen to this.
But I genuinely think when this period of history is written, Europe will thank President Trump for shaking us out of our complacency and forcing us to stand on our own 2 feet and end the period of over-reliance on the United States for defense.
Last thought on that, Victor.
Well, he told the truth, and that's what Europe knows privately, but they don't have the courage, except for this fellow, to say it publicly, because they know what they were doing, and they knew their socialist agenda, their green energy program, their open borders, their fertility rates were all dooming them to complete reliance on the United States, who finally was getting tired of the dependency. And so we shook them up, and I think we're going to see them make fundamental changes in their economy and their social structure, or they will be completely, inert. And it's not good for them, but this is a good first sign, I think.
Victor Davis Hanson, always a pleasure and an honor.
And